This module 3 deals with borehole heat exchangers, and this submodule 3.5, which provides guidelines for borehole heat exchangers for regulators and policymakers based on the current status in Ireland. So, in summary, we want to provide you with some background information with respect to guidelines for borehole heat exchangers and water-to-water heat pumps. This slide shows a summary of what is expanded in the next slides. You can see there is currently no legislative or regulatory requirements for closed-loop borehole heat exchangers, irrespective of size. Open-loop systems are subject to groundwater abstraction and discharge legislation or regulations. There are some training and qualifications, but these are limited to heat pump installers and drilling, and they're not specific to geothermal. There is a certificate for installation of heat pumps. There are standards and regulations covered by EN and national recommendation documents published by the National Standards Authority of Ireland. And there is public geothermal collector suitability maps that can be used as a screening tool for designers and end users. So in terms of the national legislation, as I explained beforehand, the national legislation currently only applies to open loop systems and is governed by the Water Supplies Act of 1942 and 2018. This act governs the abstraction of groundwater and the discharge of groundwater to groundwater bodies. So it's applicable to water-to-water heat pumps. And there are currently no legislations with respect to closed-loop systems. However, it is important to note that there is currently an ongoing development of a new legislative and regulatory process which would change that position probably during the course of 2025 with new legislation and regulations that will also cover closed-loop systems. So in terms of permitting, as I explained earlier, this is only applicable to open-loop systems. Permits that are required for water-to-water heat pumps require that a system applies for a permit where a groundwater abstraction from an aquifer or a groundwater body is greater than 25 cubic meters per day. The permitting conditions can specify different requirements in terms of the operation of the system, and this is generally left to the discretion of the regulator and the permitting authority, which reviews these on a case-by-case basis. There are also permits required for discharge of groundwater to a groundwater body. So in terms of the re-injection of a water-to-water heat pump system, those permits are required where volume exceeds 5 cubic meters per day. The regulator is the Environmental Protection Agency, and there is a dedicated application process for these permits that are to be submitted to them. And there is also a consultation requirement with local authorities and the national water operator, which is called Uisce Éireann.